Hey, did you know Long's Products is a family-owned janitorial supply with mops, brooms, trash bags, and they even have food service disposables, carry-out plates, and to-goes? Check us out.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Let's Talk here on UrbanCast. I'm Jack. As always, this platform is about conversations, community, and civic engagement. We encourage everyone watching to stay informed, stay engaged, and make your voice heard, especially at the ballot box. Register, show up, and go vote. Your participation matters. And for those folk who have an election coming up here soon, y'all need to really start paying attention to what's going on. Tonight, we are honored to sit down with Candy Christophe, licensed clinical social worker, certified addiction counselor, entrepreneur, and author of You Can Have Both, Legacy Blueprint series. Candy, thank you so much for joining us tonight. You know, some folk might have, they'll probably come in, you know, and that kind of thing, but you know, folk be kind of get upset sometime and they'll go, but they'll come back and they'll fuss at me. You won't fuss at you, they'll fuss at me. But just in case, Candy, again, welcome for coming on tonight. And can you briefly introduce yourself to the UrbanCast audience, who you are, what you do, and what drives you, your mission?
I'm Candy Christophe. Those in the central Louisiana area or in the 28 parishes that I ran for Congress in know me. I am a servant of God. I am God-led in all that I say and do. Andre and I own multiple businesses, Christophe Counseling and Associates, Housing Options of Louisiana, and we have a ministry called Reentry Solutions, which is a 501c3 nonprofit organization that focus on employment and housing and restoration of the family unit. Like I said, I am God-led in all that I do. I believe my life is not my own. To him it belongs. Mm-hmm. And for those who may not know, Andre and I, at year 32 of our marriage, hit a hiccup. And we were just 72 hours from divorce property settlement. And I asked God, just, you know, afterwards to just make this make sense. Because at year 32, not 5, not 10, but 32, we should be on autopilot. Mm-hmm. And what I got from God was to purpose that pain. And so now I feel like I've been given an additional assignment. Mm-hmm. And that quest is to help as many couples that mm-hmm. are in business or ministry together to help protect what matters the most. Mm-hmm. Because you can have both. You can have success in your business and you can feel whole in your marriage, and you can serve God with your whole heart, and you can have the love of your life right there on the side of you the entire journey. And so that's what my You Can Have Both series is all about. I went into a spell of just writing. I just needed to get it out. I have throughout the years wrote poems on different times in my life to help me work through the difficult stuff, mm-hmm. and found myself just writing. I know what Paul must have felt like. I know what Job felt like because I was living it and found it very easy to put it to pen. So many people said, you wrote 4 books and workbooks in 1 year. I sure did. I wrote Business on the Legacy Ladder. I wrote Marriage, how to make it last. I wrote Ministry, being spiritually strategic. And I wrote the workbooks for each of those.
Okay.
And I also wrote The Adultery Trap. Okay. Oh, I poured my soul into each of these. Okay. And the workbook for each. And I think it's because, one, my mom died at 60 years old, 5 months and 4 days. My dad died at age 49, and my both of my grandparents are gone. My
Mhm.
in-laws are gone. And at this junction in my life, I needed them. I needed them.
Mhm.
And I couldn't help but think other people who are educated like I am, who are successful like I am, we need help when we get to those journeys in life where we haven't told before. And a lot of people see the success on the outside, but they don't know the struggles on the inside. I once worked with a highly successful professional that said to me, Candy, everyone thinks that I got it all together, but I'm falling apart.
Okay.
And that happens everywhere. That happens to all of us, to each of us. And it makes good sense because high performance people struggle, only we have an invisible load. That load, many people don't get to see, just those that are very close to us.
Okay. With that, that was a we know all about. We're gonna delve deep into some of the things that you talked about there,
Mhm.
and we're just gonna get a little deeper into it
Let's go
tonight.
for it. You know, I like deep. I like deep.
All right, you
I ain't
you have
scared.
you have over 30 years of experience in social work and counseling. What inspired you to expand your impact through writing?
One, I felt compelled to. It was
Mm-hmm.
not an idea. This was not on my to-do list.
Mm-hmm.
I felt a deep urgency in me to get it out and to get it on paper so that those who are going through something like this can have a tool, a workbook to work
Mm-hmm.
with them. And maybe that's the social work part of me that came out, because when you are going through marriage, I wrote the books and the workbooks where it can be done by both spouses. So
Mm-hmm.
there are golden nuggets. I'm a Christian counselor. I'm God led. So there are scriptures that are along there to align with the lesson. And if your spouse is not ready to do the work with you, you can do it by yourself. And
Mm-hmm.
then you can go on and bring them into it. But there are segments in the books and the workbooks for both spouses. There are a couple challenges there,
Mm-hmm.
nuggets for legacies for going forward, so that it can help realign you. What I learned during this separation phase with Dre and I, and is that our relationships are constantly moving. They're either moving toward oneness or they're moving toward isolation, but they're constantly moving. And we have to be aware of those things. We have to. Many people are winning publicly while losing privately, and it's more common than people admit.
Right. Your series is called "You Can Have Both."
Yes.
Um, what does that phrase truly mean?
It means that you can be fulfilled,
Hmm.
you can be whole. You don't have to lose you for your spouse or your calling. You can be whole and happy with
Hmm.
the one that you love right on the side of you. I don't believe that God would call us to do that which will destroy us.
Hmm.
I'm the workaholic in the family. Everybody knows Candy's always working, Candy's always mission driven. But there were times in my marriage where my husband wanted my undivided attention. But
Hmm.
because I was so driven to help others, to serve others, to do the will of God, I said, oh, God will take care of him. I got to do God's business. God will take care of him, not realizing that I have to be strategic. We have to be intentional about how we use our time. We have to be intentional about living the life we want to live and leaving the legacy that we want to leave.
And with that saying, many entrepreneurs believe they, must sacrifice for
Yes.
for family business success. Why do you challenge that idea now?
I challenge it because I know now you can have both. At one point in time in my life, I felt, well, if I have to choose between my marriage and my God, okay, it's me and God, we rolling.
Mm-hmm.
Until I got to the situation where we were separated, and my pastor, Brother Anthony Mangum, said to me, Candy, don't get ahead of God. Don't get ahead of God. I was so determined and thinking that I can't have both. I have to choose. I can't have both. I cannot serve God wholeheartedly and make him happy. I cannot be what I need to be to my community and satisfy my spouse.
Mm-hmm.
But you can. You absolutely can. And to those who think that there's so much water under the bridge, I could never forgive. I treat convicted sex offenders. I thought forgiving was something that would be easy to do until the hurt so deep to where you find it hard to forgive. You know, we've all heard this saying in the Bible. How many times should you forgive your neighbor? 70 times 70. Well, that's a crazy number. How can you forgive somebody 70 times 70 a day?
Mm-hmm.
But when you are in that restoration process from a injury, from trauma, from a wound, from deep-seated hurt, forgiveness is something you have to do on a daily basis. I am in love with my husband still, and my husband is still my boyfriend, and I'm still his girlfriend because we choose each other daily.
Okay. You openly shared that you faced near divorce after 35. You know,
32 years. 32 years.
Okay. Okay. 32 years. All right. Well, look, I go 5, 10, 15, 20. So that's why I say nearly 35. So, but it was 32. What did that season teach you about leadership at home? Not in the work, but at home. What did it teach you about leadership at home at that point?
It taught me that I have to have my eyes on each of my family members. You know, as adults, we feel like, oh, we grown, we can do what we want to do. And our children are grown now. And so I'm thinking, oh, they're going to be fine. They're going to be fine. Your dad and I are getting a divorce and they'll be all right because I was all right when my mom and dad got a divorce. And my daughter said to us, Crystal said, Mama, I've been to 2 war zones and didn't require therapy. Yours and Daddy's divorce is causing me to have to seek therapy. And I thought, wow. Wow. Now, I consider myself a strong, educated Black woman, master's degree, 2 undergrad degrees, in therapy as my profession. If anybody could make a marriage work, it's got to be Candy. And if anybody could get through a divorce, it's going to be Candy. But boy, did I have a barren season there. People that I thought was going to be there for me weren't. Wow. And people who I didn't think would be there were. And what I learned was that you could do you, and he can do him. But we're not an island. We had so many people to come and talk to us and say, if your marriage don't work, I feel for mine. You guys, this is tearing me apart. Is there anything that I can do? Is there anything? And it just really shocked us as to how many people were affected by our seemingly our one marriage.
You're right.
And then it really hit us hard and heavy that you don't need a new partner. You just need to change some patterns.
Right. A lot of investment there. How do trauma, addiction, and leadership pressures intersect? in the lives of high performing professionals. I mean, you are, in that business of counseling, and Andre was in that construction world and all of that kind of good stuff. How does that pressure end up intersecting and
Well, pressure changes behavior.
mm,
We can't help what comes at us. Things in life is going to happen. But
mm-hmm,
what makes the difference is our response to it. And
mm-hmm,
in persons or couples who are influential, power couples who have a following, a flock, a
mm-hmm,
congregation that watches them, their pressure is silent, but it's still there. You will never, ever, ever change or fix that which you cannot talk about. If you can talk about it all, you can work through it all. You just have to have the tools to do it with.
mm-hmm,
And that's where the you can have both workbook and book comes into place. It
mm-hmm,
comes in so that if you don't have the tools, if you don't know where to start, here's a place to start. Either individually or as a couple, whether it's in business or whether it's with your ministry or whether it's with your marriage, or whether you find yourself in an adulterous situation with your spouse. Here's some tools that can help you get on the road to oneness or toward isolation. But the difference between how highly successful or influential people handle the pressure is that we have the intellect to know how it should work. But when you have the emotional assault that comes at you at an emotional level, it can throw you off your game.
mm-hmm.
It really can.
Right, right. Let me pause right here and remind, and I may, because we were kind of coming in, but for those watching live, drop your questions. If you have a question, a comment, we're following, and you're following along. Depending on the question, we might bring it here for Candy to give us some feedback on it. So
Would love to. Would love
uh,
to.
please feel free to do that. And in addition to that, if you would hit that share button and help make this, this communication here go just a little bit further. Somebody might need to hear it. Candy, your books cover business, marriage, ministry, restoration. Why was it important to address all four?
When I look back at the property settlement, literally 24 hours before we go to court to divide our property,
Mm-hmm.
um, I was looking at, we're in the rental business. And so I'm looking at which properties I want, which properties he want. And then after all of that, and I decided
Mm-hmm.
I was going to hit pause. I was going to listen to God. I was going to just hit pause, and allow God to do what he needed to do within me. When I decided that, and looking back in the rear view mirror, I said, Lord, look what the enemy would have destroyed, a legacy for my children and my children's children and their children.
Mm-hmm.
Wealth is established generationally from land and houses and the bank accounts. But if we would have divided that, and so one thing that I that really puts me on fire is when I think about those ministry leaders, those pastors and their wives who are suffering in silence because they don't have anyone to go to. Who
Mm-hmm.
do the pastor go to when he's having problems, or the first lady go to when they're having problems? Who
Mm-hmm.
do the ministry leaders go to? When
Mm-hmm.
I thought about that, when the enemy can put his foot on the neck of the head, then he's crippled the church.
Mm-hmm.
He's crippled the following. And so if I can be about the business of helping add to the kingdom, helping to make this world a better place for the next one and the next generation and the next, then it has to be in all folds, the three folds: business, ministry, and marriage. Threefold cord is not easily broken. And for those of us who know that God came so that we could have life and have it more abundantly, then it made me wonder, what does that abundant look like for me? What does abundant living really look like? At one time, Jack, I really thought it was working from can to can't, passing out and getting up and repeat. I really thought at one time that the abundant life for me was going to be on the other side of glory. And then after going through this, I realized, no, God meant for me to have life and enjoy it on this side too.
So what are some of the warning signs, Candy, that a leader's success is masking personal crisis?
When you feel that you're not being heard by your other partner or by your spouse, you know, pressure, stress distorts communication. You can say the words out of your mouth and they can mean what the English dictionary said. But if that other person is so overwhelmed with stress, then they hear something totally different. So when your communication is out of alignment, when you're not feeling heard, when you're not feeling seen by that other person, when you're not feeling intimate with that other person, then you're on a when you find yourself, your spouse doing their own thing and you're doing your own thing, you're not doing things together. When you're going to church and you're not talking in the car, but you're getting out and you're putting that smile on your face, and you're going back home and you're in silent mode again. These are some of the signs that some of the couples that I've coached have said. And these are some of the signs that were right there in my own house. I'm so busy doing Candy. And he's so busy. Andre used to say, re-entry is your boyfriend. And I would tell him, the motorcycle and Zydeco is your girlfriend. Hey, Dre, we on live.
Yeah, we putting all the personal business out there right now.
But I tell you, to those who think that life can't be sweeter after a separation, I'm here to tell you, oh, it can. Where there's a will, there is a way. I'm a homebody. I like being at home. And Dre likes being out and about. And so we decided, okay, let's do both of us. So here we are in the motorhome and we're out and about and I'm still at home.
And
you literally can have both. You literally can. If there's a will, there's a way.
Right.
You just have to be willing.
Just take that home and the privacy of home, put them on the wheels and take it with you. And you go out to the Zydeco and you come back home.
Right back home. And we're still together. Whereas one being at home and the other one being out.
Right.
You can have both.
You can have both. So how can couples build a legacy that doesn't collapse behind the closed doors? What do you say, on the front end of this thing, just to try to, ward off end up facing what you're dealing with. But what can couples do on the front end of it where they can even prevent even coming head to head, in disagreements, feeling like they're in two different planets and that kind of thing?
One, awareness. Don't assume that because you've been married 5, 10, 15, 20, 30, 50 years, don't assume that partner will always be there. Don't assume that everything is okay. Don't shut down. communicate. If you can talk about it all, you can work through it all. And when the other one gives the hint that you're out of a line, you're gone too much, you're working too much, you're doing this too much, or you're that too much, listen, because marriages rarely break down because of lack of love. They break down because of mismanagement under pressure. And that often comes because you're out of alignment.
And what would you say redeemed legacy look like in real life now?
You know, I always knew I had a good husband. I always knew I had a good husband. And I always knew I had a gorgeous hunk of a man for a husband. And since our reconciliation, I am like, wow, where have this husband been? The appreciation, the love, the admiration for me and for us. It's like on steroids, and vice versa. He always knew he had a good wife. And now that's just on steroids, because now we understand that, yes, we could have went our separate ways. I would have been happy and found happiness, and he would have as well. But boy, it is so sweet doing the rest of this journey together. Finally seeing the fruits of our labor, finally coming full circle to where we can go where we want to, like we want to, how we want to, as long as we want it together. Oh, that's so sweet. And I want to say to you that the love, the sweetness, the appreciation, the tenderness, the attentiveness, you can have all of that with the spouse that you have. You don't have to switch partners. You just have to change your patterns.
Right. What do you hope readers walk away after reading your series, Candy?
I hope that they walk away knowing that the time, the energy that they have invested is not for naught. And that the frustrations that you have felt, it was all growing pains and strategies. And that you don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. You don't. The baby will grow. The baby will grow. I cannot say enough that burnout don't start with exhaustion. You know, I'm just tired. When you hear a couple saying, I'm just tired of it, I'm just tired. It didn't start with exhaustion. It started out with misalignment and that frustration from not being heard, not being not their needs not being met or ignored continuously. If you can talk about it all, you can work through it all. And if you don't know how to start the conversation, get one of these series, whichever one you find yourself in, whether it's in your ministry or whether it's in your business or whether it's in your marriage. There's help here. There are tools here that can help you start the conversation. And if you would like for me to come to help you with a retreat or in a coaching session for couples, I've promised Andre that I'm not going to go overboard. I'm only going to do 10 selective couples a year as my give back. Then give me a call. CandyChristophSpeaks.com is where you can find me for speaking. And Candy's Legacy Blueprints is where you can go to find the books and the workbooks. But help is here. And if you are a minister, a bishop, if you're in a $1 million or multi-million dollar business and you find yourself successful and don't know who you can go to, where here you're able to get the clinical experience, the ministerial, and the life practical experience all in one.
Okay. All right.
And you can have both.
You can't have both. You're gonna make sure folk know that. Let
Oh,
me
yeah.
ask you. Yeah, look. What's next, Candy?
I think that the additional assignment that I have been given
Uh-huh.
is to get before as many couples as I can,
Mm-hmm.
uh, to help them to protect what matters the most, because sons are watching daddies and daughters are watching mamas.
Mm-hmm.
And how we lead, how we respond during this time is going to determine how they will respond. And we have got to do a better job. You know, there's a song, reach out and touch somebody's hand, make this world a better place if you can. This is our way of uniting to make this world a better place. We've got to leave it better than we found it. And if we can strengthen marriages, if we can strengthen businesses and legacies, if we can strengthen the ministries, then we will have done our part. We will have done our part.
All right. And before we start to wrap up things, did you have anything else that you need to say to the community that we didn't cover here tonight?
I want to say that if you're listening and you feel stretched thin between success and your relationship, you're not broken. You're overloaded. And overloadedness can be corrected. I'm the workaholic. I know. Been there, done that, got the t-shirt and the chips for it. When we're out of alignment, we affect everybody else in the household and everybody else around us.
Mm-hmm.
If you are stretched, know that you can be corrected. That can be corrected. We just have to be more intentional about living the life we want to live and leaving the legacy that we want to leave. I always wanted to travel. I always wanted to be able to just do what God has called me to do. Had it not been for our separation, I still would be grinding from
Mm-hmm.
can to can't and not enjoying the journey. Many of you all know my father-in-law, Morris Cosin. Daddy Morris was the undertaker at Winfield Funeral Home for many, many years. And he's been dead for many, many years. And he said to me one time, he said, Candy, I sure would hate to be looking over your casket one day saying she sure did help a whole lot of people. Too bad she didn't enjoy the life that she had before her. And when he said that to me, it was like a dagger. I was like, ouch, Daddy Morris.
Mm-hmm.
But he was speaking truth to me. I was so about the business, so about work, to where I wasn't enjoying the journey. My husband often tells me, Dre says, Candy, I'm 9 years older than you. I'm almost 10 years older than you. I don't know how much longer I'm going to live. I want to enjoy this moment with you. Why do you always have to be with the laptop? Why do you always have to be working? I was just so driven initially by what I wanted success to live like, what I wanted the bank account to look like, what I wanted success around me to look like, how I wanted to help other people and how I wanted them to. And I just went from one project to another project to another project to when is it going to end? I have had 3 strokes, not 1, not 2, but 3. On my second stroke, my neurologist asked me, he said, well, Miss Christophe, are you working so hard because you want to go on vacation? Are you working so hard because you want to build a second house? Why are you working so hard? And I said, I'm working this hard because of the clientele that I serve. I got to help people get to the next level of life and living and being. And he says, well, how long do you think that's going to take? I said, wow. Well, with my clients, it's probably going to be until the Lord comes. He says, well, Miss Christophe, I got news for you. You won't make it to see the rapture at the rate you're going. Another dagger. And so I say we have to be intentional about living the life that we want to live and leaving the legacy that we want to leave. But we have to know, you got to know, you can have both. I thought I had to choose one or the other. You don't have to choose one or the other. You can have both.
Well, Candy, thank you so much for sharing your transparency and your expertise and your message with the UrbanCast family tonight. I truly appreciate it. To our UrbanCast family out there, thank you for tuning in and continuing to support meaningful conversations that strengthen our community. Stay informed, stay engaged, register to vote. I'm going to keep saying that so y'all can get tired of me saying that, and participate.
You know, I'm all about the voting, all about the voting.
Real change happens when communities show up. And I tell you what, Candy, before look, I'm in my closing phase, but I'm gonna go. Yesterday, our team got an opportunity to cover the Samtown Woodside neighborhood community group, and they had a promising conversation over there. And it's just amazing to see when community members start coming together and start asking questions. These are tough questions. And, and sometimes you see that resistance coming back, flowing back, but it lets us know that, information is getting where it needs to go and that kind of thing. So I know, we talk about the marriage and how important that communication is, but it's also important for our communities to communicate with each other as well and stay, and so we can have happy marriages, if we can make that analogy over there, where one part of the community ain't over here struggling and the other side of the community over there living the life of Raleigh, you know what I mean, and they don't see the things that are going, and the only way we can begin to fix that stuff is if we begin to communicate with each other.
Yes.
And sometimes that means we have to communicate. So I'm sitting here listening to you and saying, how can we as a community listen to this and apply these same tools across the board to the community? Because I think we need to have some marriage counseling around here with the community.
Well, Jack, whenever I was going with my book cover and I was asking some of the young people, would they buy the book cover? And one of the younger persons that I went to, he said, me, my generation? I said, yes. He says, ma'am, I wouldn't buy it because we don't do marriage. My generation don't do marriage.
Wow.
And I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
He says, we don't do marriages. And that really made me think, we have got to let people know you don't have to choose. So many people have said, well, they think they got to choose. I can't be me. I don't want to change my husband. I don't want my husband to change me.
Right.
We can live together and be happy together. And young people now have the idea that they can't be happy married. That's just not the case.
Yeah.
It's not the case. I would like to say before we close, Jack, today Reverend Jesse Jackson died today.
Yeah, that is true.
And I took a picture of him that I'm going to put on my Facebook page tomorrow. When I met him at Peabody Magnet High School.
Oh, looky here. You know what? And you got an opportunity. I was in the 12th grade at Peabody Magnet High School in 1984. And I remember that, I remember him being here just like it was yesterday. Yep. And I was wondering, see, so it's a good thing, because if you call around and talk to a couple of people, I was actually out here today trying to see if somebody else remembered
him coming to Peabody Magnet High School. I remember, and I took a picture with him under the Peabody Magnet High School walkway there.
Now, so how did you manage to do that?
Look, I have always been intentional. Always been intentional. God just put that in me. But I wanted to say to him, in honor of his memory, He was one that lit a spark in my soul to serve my community.
Right.
And listening to him and following him through the years, I knew that if my mind can conceive it and my heart can believe it, I can achieve it. And I thank him for that contribution, because I know from me knowing about him, having that opportunity to meet him, it's been instrumental in me helping so many through reentry and so many throughout the years of my life.
Right.
So Reverend Jesse Jackson, rest in peace. We appreciate all that you have done, and we hope to do as great.
Right. A special thank you to our supporters out there: Sadler's Towing, Long's Product, Legendary Kung Fu and Tai Chi, United Wrestling Entertainment, Nader's International Market, and the Threadhead Embroidery. We appreciate your continued support. Join us tomorrow at 7 p.m. as we continue our Black History Month author celebration with Sharon Holland, author of The Bully Carmen. I'm gonna have fun with that one because I'm not a big bully fan. So her anti-bullying trilogy empowers young readers to build confidence, resolve conflict, and stand strong in who they are. Also, tonight, coming up at 8:30, we're going to be talking to the family spokesperson of Roger Thomas, who was killed back in December. They're going to be giving us an update. This is a story coming out of Winfield, and we'll be talking to them a little later on this evening. So we have 2 episodes tonight, Candace.
Good.
I've been busy. I've been a little busy today, but that's going to be a real, the justice that family need to receive, and it's the community showing support to the family and all of that kind of good stuff. So we're going to be at it for a little bit longer. But again, to everybody out there, thank you guys. I'm Jack. This has been Let's Talk at our 7 o'clock time frame, but we'll be right back here in 30 minutes. And we'll see you tomorrow with Sharon Holland. Candy, if you could just stand by, I'm going to go ahead and
I sure will. Thank you, everyone, and bye-bye for now.
Hey, did you know Long's Products is a family-owned janitorial supply with mops, brooms, trash bags, and they even have food service disposables, carry-out plates, and to-goes? Check us out.